Breaking news, rapper Young Dolph has been shot dead in Memphis, the shooting taking place outside a cookie store.
Leaked footage of Young Dolph just moments before his assassination has surfaced online, and fans can't believe what they're seeing. What looked like a casual stop at Makita's homemade cookies now appears to be something far more sinister. Questions are swirling, timelines aren't adding up. In this video, I'll break down the leaked footage, the inconsistencies in the timeline, and what it all might reveal about the moments leading up to Young Dolph's assassination. The final moments. Leaked footage surfaces. In late 2021, the leaked footage of Young Dolph inside Makita's homemade butter cookies in Memphis captured a moment that would soon become one of hip-hop's darkest turning points. What began as a simple errand, a local visit to support a beloved hometown bakery, transformed into a scene of irreversible tragedy. The video, originally recorded from the shop's surveillance system, quickly spread across social media, turning private loss into viral consumption.
Stop it here.
It's me.
Can you stop it? We're gonna back up. I wanted to. Yeah.
For many, seeing Dolph in those final moments was both haunting and humanizing. There was no entourage, no spectacle, just a man connecting with his city in the same community that had witnessed his rise from independent hustler to cultural icon. Within seconds, the serenity shattered. Gunfire erupted outside, and the footage froze him in time, a symbol of both local pride and the risks that come with visibility. The leaked footage forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths about fame, mortality, and media ethics. Fans debated whether releasing the video honored transparency or violated dignity. Meanwhile, the rapid spread of the clip exemplified a new digital reality. Tragedy doesn't just happen, it circulates, analyzed, and reinterpreted endlessly across platforms. For Dolph's family, it deepened the pain. What was once private grief became a public narrative dissected by strangers. And for Memphis, it reopened long-standing wounds about violence, success, and survival in a city that births stars but often buries them too soon. Within the industry, the incident reignited scrutiny of how artists navigate everyday life under a microscope. Dolph had long been known for his independence, rejecting major label deals, owning his masters, and staying connected to his roots. But his authenticity, the same quality that made him loved, also made him accessible. The footage immortalized that paradox, a man who built power by staying close to his people, ultimately losing his life in the heart of the city that made him. The leaked video became more than evidence. It became a cultural artifact. It raised questions about how society consumes tragedy and whether visibility in the digital age ever truly serves the people it elevates. Prior incidents and foreshadowed danger. The assassination of Young Dolph didn't occur in isolation. For years leading up to that November afternoon, he had lived under a shadow of threat, surviving multiple shootings and public feuds that made his life both legendary and precarious. Each near miss served as a warning, a preview of the danger that would eventually catch up to him.
I was leaving a day party. We was headed to where we was headed to. Pull out blocking a day party, get up the street. They started shooting, they shot. Shooting was over with.
In 2017, Dolph's SUV was riddled with over 100 bullets in Charlotte, North Carolina. Remarkably, he walked away unharmed, thanks only to the bulletproof armor installed in his vehicle. That same year, another shooting in Hollywood left him critically injured but alive. These incidents cemented his reputation as resilient, even untouchable. But beneath the bravado was a growing reality. Survival was becoming routine. His lyrics often alluded to danger, but always with a sense of control, as if acknowledging the risk was enough to master it. Yet in truth, each attempt on his life revealed how exposure and independence can create vulnerability. Unlike many peers who relied on corporate systems for protection, Dolph's self-made empire, paper route empire, meant he controlled his movements, his appearances, and his decisions, including the fateful choice to move freely through Memphis without heavy security. For fans, his survival became part of his mythos, the image of a man defying odds, bulletproof both literally and metaphorically. But within the industry, those close to him recognized the signs of escalating hostility, long-standing rivalries, territorial pride, and unresolved tensions in Memphis's underground rap scene fueled speculation that something more serious was coming. By the time of his death, these warnings had transformed from prophecy to proof. What was once celebrated independence now appeared as exposure. The earlier shootings were no longer isolated attacks but chapters in a larger narrative of inevitability. Ultimately, Dolph's prior encounters with violence revealed the blurred line between resilience and risk in modern hip-hop. Survival, while heroic, can mask the deeper cost of constant vigilance. His story reminds us that even strength, when tested too often, becomes a fragile thing, and that fame in certain environments doesn't insulate against danger, it attracts it. Street politics and tension in Memphis. The city of Memphis Memphis was not just the backdrop to young Dolph's story, it was a character in it. His rise from the streets of Castalia Heights to international recognition embodied the duality of Memphis itself. Talent and tension intertwined. By 2021, those tensions had reached a boiling point, fueled by years of rivalries, neighborhood pride, and the economics of the underground rap scene.
It's a rap. I'm not even thinking about it.
Why do they keep trying to make it a rap beef between you and Gotti? We had Gotti up here. He said he don't got no problems with you whatsoever.
He actually showed the
Showed
last
us text messages, how he sent positive words.
Man,
Memphis has long been a city where success is both celebrated and contested. Dolph's open pride in remaining independent, unaligned with major labels and rooted in his community, drew admiration from fans but scrutiny from rivals. His public conflicts, particularly with artists affiliated with opposing crews, became symbolic of larger divides within the local music ecosystem. These weren't just artistic disagreements, they were power struggles shaped by loyalty, history, and the politics of survival. Behind the music, whispers of tension circulated constantly. Social media spats, veiled lyrics, and street rumors that blurred the line between entertainment and reality. In this climate, visibility could be misinterpreted as provocation. Every appearance, every lyric, every act of generosity in the city could carry unintended consequences. Dolph's decision to move without extensive protection was both statement and strategy. He believed in being accessible, in embodying the success Memphis could produce without losing its soul. But in a city where proximity breeds familiarity, and familiarity can breed resentment, that same accessibility turned volatile. After his death, many in Memphis questioned whether his assassination was purely personal or reflective of something systemic, a symptom of how local fame can ignite local envy. Community leaders, artists, and fans began examining how cycles of violence continue to claim those who rise above circumstance. The leaked footage then became more than documentation. It was evidence of a city in conflict with itself. It reflected how Memphis can nurture greatness and simultaneously endanger it. Young Dolph's murder exposed not just an individual loss, but a collective wound. A story of brilliance overshadowed by the very environment that birthed it. Investigation and arrests, the search for justice. When young Dolph was gunned down on November 17, 2021, outside Makeda's Cookies, Memphis erupted. Not in celebration or chaos, but in disbelief. The man who had given back to his city, who fed families and mentored youth, was gone. Within hours, detectives flooded the crime scene, gathering shell casings, interviewing witnesses, and reviewing the very surveillance footage that the public would later consume in fragments online.
Trial is underway for the man police say orchestrated the deadly shooting of Memphis rapper Young Dolph in 2021.
The investigation quickly intensified, fueled by public outcry and national attention. Local police, federal agents, and the U.S. Marshals joined forces to identify the shooters. Within weeks, two names surfaced: Justin Johnson, better known as Straight Drop, and Cornelius Smith. Both were connected to the Memphis rap scene, and both fled after the killing. Their flight added a layer of intrigue. Were they acting alone, or was there a larger force behind them? Johnson's social media presence became a spectacle. Days before his arrest, he teased a new music video on Instagram, turning the hunt for justice into an unsettling collision between crime, fame, and clout. The internet turned detective, analyzing lyrics and timelines, amplifying every rumor. Meanwhile, prosecutors framed the killing as a deliberate, targeted attack. Execution style, not random violence. As the case unfolded, whispers spread about a possible mastermind, someone higher up with motive and money. Though authorities never confirmed such claims, fans speculated endlessly, connecting dots between industry rivalries, street feuds, and Dolph's history of independence. The arrests brought temporary relief, but not closure. Legal proceedings dragged on, with motions, appeals, and continuances delaying resolution. Each update reignited public debate. Was this true justice, or another example of how power and protection work differently in the entertainment world? For Dolph's loved ones, the courtroom offered little solace. Justice, even when served, couldn't resurrect a man who had symbolized independence and pride for an entire city. The investigation exposed more than just a crime. It revealed the fragile intersection between celebrity, street life, and visibility. What began as a murder inquiry evolved into a mirror of Memphis itself. A city wrestling with its own contradictions, talent and tragedy, loyalty and betrayal, ambition and consequence. Rivalries and industry feuds, Paper Route Empire versus CMG. Long before the gunfire, the seeds of rivalry had already been planted. In the tightly knit Memphis rap scene, success often draws as much envy as admiration. Young Dolph's independence, his refusal to sign under major labels or align with dominant cliques, positioned him as both an inspiration and a target.
You Migo?
Man, you crazy motherfucker. You me go?
The beat your motherfucking ass. What you wanna do? Come out here. Okay, nigga, come on. Don't be trying to call your partners, bruh.
The tension between Paper Route Empire, PRE, and Yo Gotti's collective music group, CMG, wasn't officially declared, but it was undeniable. Subtle disses in songs, cryptic social media posts, and public altercations painted a portrait of silent war. Fans picked sides, turning artistic competition into digital battlegrounds. In 2017, rumors of a confrontation between the two camps circulated after Dolph's SUV was shot over 100 times, an act many connected to the ongoing feud, though charges against Gotti's associates were later dropped. Whether or not the animosity was personal, it became symbolic. Independence versus establishment, self-made empire versus corporate machine. Dolph embodied the do-it-yourself ethos that resonated deeply with aspiring artists. He owned his masters, signed local talent, and distributed music under his own imprint. Every move defied the traditional industry structure. And that defiance came with consequences. In interviews, Dolph never named names, but made his stance clear. You don't need nobody to make you big, you just need to believe in yourself. To supporters, it was gospel. To detractors, it was provocation. When he was killed, fans immediately pointed fingers, not just at individuals, but at the culture of competition that blurred into hostility. Rivalries that once fueled lyrical creativity now seemed to breed real violence. In hindsight, the feud became more than personal. It reflected a deeper question within hip-hop. Can independence coexist with peace? Dolph's life and death suggested that in a world where visibility equals power, defiance often paints a target. The price of being watched. When the footage of young Dolph's final moments leaked, it didn't just document tragedy, it exposed the moral fracture of digital culture. Millions of viewers watched, shared, and dissected every frame. Within hours, hashtags trended, YouTube theories emerged, and reaction videos monetized grief. The line between empathy and exploitation blurred beyond recognition.
Gucci took to Twitter to mourn the loss of his collaborator, writing, "Rest in peace to my friend Dolph. This broke my heart."
In an era driven by attention, tragedy becomes content. Fans claimed they were honoring Dolph's legacy by spreading the footage, but critics saw something darker, a hunger for spectacle that reduces life to replayable death. Each view, each retweet turned mourning into media. Journalists faced a dilemma, how to report responsibly when the public already had access to unfiltered graphic material. Some platforms blurred the footage, others didn't. The lack of consensus reflected a broader cultural crisis, one where visibility is both power and punishment. For artists, it sent a chilling message. Every moment of your life and death is subject to public ownership. Fame no longer ends when the cameras turn off. It lingers in the algorithms, circulating endlessly. This viral exposure reshaped how the public perceives safety, fame, and privacy. Fans now question how much they should consume, and media outlets grapple with their complicity in commodifying trauma. The leaked footage was not just documentation, it was digital autopsy. In the end, the internet immortalized young Dolph not through his philanthropy or his artistry, but through his final seconds. An irony he would have despised. The man who preached independence was made globally visible in the one moment he could no longer control. And that is perhaps the cruelest truth of all. In an age where everything becomes content, even loss isn't sacred. Community aftermath and Memphis mourning. When the news broke, Memphis stopped. The intersection of Airways and Ketchum, usually filled with the rhythm of everyday life, became a shrine. Candles, photos, and handwritten notes covered the sidewalk outside Makita's Cookies, transforming the site of violence into sacred ground.
It has been nearly 2 weeks since rapper Young Dolph was gunned down in Memphis, and today a private funeral was held in the Bluff City.
Fans traveled from across the South to pay their respects. Local businesses closed early, murals appeared overnight, and car stereos played Major and 100 Shots on loop. The air was heavy with grief, but also pride. Pride for a man who refused to leave his city behind, even when success gave him every reason to. Makita's Cookies, the small family-owned bakery where Dolph took his last breath, became a symbol of both loss and resilience. The owners, devastated but determined, reopened with the community's help, honoring his memory with a mural and a renewed mission to serve the city he loved. At the same time, tension simmered beneath the mourning. Police patrols increased as retaliation rumors spread through neighborhoods. Local leaders urged calm, hosting vigils that blended prayer with protest. "This can't be how we honor him," one pastor said, capturing the shared exhaustion of a community tired of losing its heroes to gunfire. In the weeks that followed, Dolph's family organized charitable drives, giving away turkeys and school supplies in his name, continuing the same work he had done quietly for years. His foundation expanded outreach to youth mentorship and scholarship programs. Memphis, a city defined by rhythm and resilience, turned tragedy into tribute. For many, young Dolph's death wasn't just the loss of a rapper, it was the loss of a role model who proved that success could come from staying true. The grief unified a community that had too often been divided by circumstance. Even now, the murals stand not as memorials of death, but as declarations of life, the life of a man who represented independence, perseverance, and love for his people. Legacy of independence. The lessons left behind. In life, young Dolph preached ownership. In death, he became its proof. His empire, Paper Route Empire, PRE, didn't crumble. It evolved. The label continued to release music, featuring artists he mentored like Key Glock, who carried the torch with both pride and pain. Each new release became an echo of Dolph's philosophy. Bet on yourself, invest in your people, and never sell your soul for convenience.
We ask that instead of focusing on those who committed this crime, you focus on the man that Adolph Robert Thornton was.
He wasn't just an artist. He was a blueprint. His decision to remain independent challenged the structure of hip-hop economics. Owning his masters, funding his own distribution, and reinvesting in his community, he set a new precedent for Southern artists. His story became a manual for independence, one written in both triumph and tragedy. Even in absence, his name moves culture. His lyrics, once perceived as bravado, now read like prophecy. Warnings about the cost of fame, reflections on survival, and lessons in legacy. His fans don't just stream his music, they study it. For many in Memphis, he remains the example of what self-determination looks like when born from struggle. Beyond music, his influence ripples through philanthropy, entrepreneurship, and education. Streets named in his honor, scholarships in his name, and local youth programs inspired by his work ensure that his impact didn't end in 2021. It only changed form. Ultimately, young Dolph's legacy transcends his death. He left behind not just a catalog of hits, but a philosophy rooted in pride, loyalty, and independence. He proved that greatness doesn't require validation from systems, only belief, discipline, and heart. And though his story ended too soon, his message remains loud. You can build your own empire, but protecting it requires more than strength. It requires wisdom, vigilance, and the courage to walk your path, even when the world watches every step. Before you go, remember, this leaked footage of young Dolph is just the start. The final minutes, the bystanders, the suspicious movements, every second is now under the microscope. If you want to see what comes next, the connections, the motives, and the hidden truths behind his assassination, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The next revelation could change everything.